Hello and welcome to Mexican Ghost, the channel providing tutorials on cooking made simple. We're going to go ahead and jump into today's video. We are making a simple dish. We're making Parmesan and garlic linguine. And I do mean simple because this recipe requires very few ingredients. Okay, so we start off our recipe with all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, and salt to taste. You start off by dumping your flour onto your work surface. Using your fingers, you begin shaping a well shape in the center of your flour, forming a base for which you will incorporate the wet ingredients. Doing so, adding your eggs and your option of flavor. I'm using salt here, but you can also use olive oil. Alright, using a fork, begin whisking slowly, incorporating the flour and egg mixture. Gradually thickening your eggs, bring in small amounts of the bordering of your flour into the center of your mix. If you should begin to see spillage on the sides of your well, do not panic. Simply continue incorporating. This will begin to form a dough, which at this point, you can put down the fork and start kneading the dough with your hands. So when kneading the dough, the texture you're gonna want to look for is something manageable and smooth. You don't want it to be tacky or sticky. If that's the case you're noticing, it's easily fixable. Just add a little more flour until you begin to get the desired dough that we're looking for. So if you're wondering how long you should knead your dough, I say somewhere about like 8 minutes or so. Make sure to have a timer close by, or you can always use your phone. Okay, so after you've gotten past the 8-minute mark, you're gonna shape your dough into a disc shape and wrap it up in plastic wrap, setting it aside for in a room temperature place for about 30 minutes before rolling out. Now after 30 minutes has come and gone, you're gonna go and flour your work surface as well as your rolling pin to prevent your dough from sticking. Go ahead and cut the dough in half, setting the other half aside for another dish another time. Okay, begin rolling out your dough, which at first is going to be a bit oblong, but that's okay, because you're going to fold each top half on one another, then continue to roll out. Eventually, you'll begin to get kind of an even rectangular shape. You're going to want to roll this out thin enough where you can almost see your hand through the dough. You'll want to trim off some of the edges, but don't go too crazy with it. It's supposed to be a bit rustic. It's homemade. And now for the fun part. Begin rolling up your dough tight, but not too tight. You don't want to squish the layers. Then with a very serrated knife, begin cutting the dough into thin strips. I would like to take a moment to remind you all that I am not a professional chef, or have I ever gone to culinary school. I am just a food nerd with an act for cooking, always trying to one-up my dishes. If there's one piece of advice I can share with you, it's basically don't take cooking so seriously and just have fun with it. That being said, let's get back to our lesson. Once you've cut the remaining dough, flour your strips generously and gently toss them up a bit. This is basically just to prevent from sticking to one another. So, in a medium boiling pot of hot water, you're going to add in a tablespoon of salt, to which then you'll go ahead and toss in your pasta. Go ahead and give your pasta a stir just so they cook evenly. This is fresh pasta, so timing is a little slightly different than box pasta, so you're only going to want to boil this for no more than 5 minutes. During this time, you're going to begin preparing the sauce. For this, in a saucepan at medium heat, add 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 cloves of garlic. At the timing of this video, I didn't have neither. I simply improvised and I used whipped butter and minced garlic, both just as good. Reduce the heat to your sauce, add in half a cup of crumbled Parmesan or grated, whichever you have on hand, both work great. Carefully remove pasta from water and transfer it into your saucepan, while also ladling in about a cup of your pasta water. This will act as a thickening agent to your sauce, creating a very creamy and buttery satisfying pairing. Give everything a good stir before adding in the remaining ingredients. Add in about a tablespoon of salt, black pepper, and fresh or dried parsley, whichever you have lying around. After everything has been incorporated and your sauce is thickened, go ahead and turn off the heat and begin plating. This would have been a lot more easier if I had tongs, but for the lights of me, I couldn't find them when I was filming, so my wooden spatulas just had to do. Now this next step is optional, but I wanted my meal to have a bite to it. So I went ahead and cooked up some bacon for garnish. Just go ahead and finely chop this. I went with a rough chop instead. The last thing there is to do is simply top off your pasta with your garnishes of your liking and enjoy. I like to thank everyone for tuning into my first YouTube video and my family and friends for encouraging me to pursue this project of mine. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, stay happy, stay vibrant, and stay positive.